Good afternoon, Planet Earth GAPE-TV. And now for the show.
What's up? Welcome to Good Afternoon, Planet Earth.
GAPE-TV.
Yes, that's my co-host, Dominic Leonelli.
And give it up for my co-host, Amy Jans, right there. Whoop, right here.
Do you know what this means, Dom?
No, I've been seeing that.
So, it means that you're shy. Like the Gen Zers, they do this. They're like,
Wow.
It's the funniest thing. I love it. This is my thing.
All right, so let me do something that stands out and makes everybody wonder.
What's been going on with you today?
Well, today I just kind of been lazy and putting stuff off. I noticed some knee pain.
Ooh, knee
Today,
pain?
yeah,
What do you
I'm getting a
mean?
little bit of knee pain. Oh, you know what I did today, actually?
What?
Is I started researching how to become social media savvy, like the things with the hashtags and things like that. And that was pretty cool. I've looked up at a little bit of that. Like TikTok
Wow.
is one
Are
I've
you
kind of
on
been
TikTok?
checking. I am, but I never really did it the right way. Like I see
Right.
TikTok might be the easiest platform because you don't really have to make up your own content. Like there's
Oh,
certain comedians
yeah.
like you could just do wet things and become viral. Did you see Sarah Cooper went viral? I'm happy for her.
Yes.
I think like it was a show that took off quick, and then Fallon kind of did a little spin-off on his Tonight Show with it, where he let other people lip sync songs to make like everybody a
Oh,
celebrity. Remember? Then all of a
yes.
sudden now TikTok.
Oh my God. Fallon should have made his own TikTok app because he was doing it way before.
Yeah, but he actually started doing it off another show that he was on. There was another show that started doing it. Then Fallon
Oh,
took it to his thing. Yeah.
wow. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I saw lip sync something, but yeah.
Right.
Oh man, they have so many fun desk pieces. I've been really absorbed because I really want to write for Fallon or Seth Meyers, and I've been watching the shows like every morning. I look at the monologue jokes, I pause them before the punch, and they have some really fun virtual desk pieces. The one freestyling with the Roots, and like
Yeah.
they were making up songs. They would interview somebody from any like a random area of the country, and they were like, okay, they were asking them questions, and then on the spot they came up with some cool freestyle. Man, they just got the best writing right now. Fallon, and I like Seth Meyers too. Who's your favorite late night? I
Yeah.
love Kimmel too. I love him. He's so cool.
Yeah. I really like Craig Ferguson. A lot of his is like
Oh my
improv,
God, yes.
They're a little bit more relaxed with the rules, or they were when he was on. I liked
Oh
it.
my
And Carson, like if you go back and
God.
see some Carson or Carol Burnett, these people were really the savages. Like a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
but
Fallon, I was gonna say a lot of Dave Letterman was a big thing with gags and things like that.
yes, Dave was always my number one. I freaking love David Letterman. But now he has our next guest on Netflix I gotta watch. But you know what's funny? I watched Carson because I had antenna TV in my Astoria, Queens apartment, and I was looking, I was like, they're not that good. Like I painted a picture of Carson in my head, and then I watch it, and I'm like, I think it's like the picture painted of what Carson was to comedy.
Well, too, he was the first one really doing it like that. Before him, it was Ed Sullivan, and Ed Sullivan was very
Yes.
dry. So now we're like, what's Carson doing? We've seen this
Right.
before.
That's
We
true.
seen
That's true.
we seen Letterman do this. Who's Carson copying off of? And it's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of molded their thing from. What I like about Carson is how he was like, like he was able to have his cover-ups and his reactions, his timing, and he just had a whole thing to him. He was a good host.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I was thinking about this in the past about how like scary that must have been if you were good. he went like this. But if you were bad, no eye contact, just go. Can you imagine
Yeah.
that as a comic? I mean, I'd have PTSD from Carson. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people did back
That's
then.
not nice.
Oh my God. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did. That's
That was
scary.
Siri. Siri just goes, that's not nice. Siri was
Yeah,
listening. Siri,
that is
why are you
crazy.
listening? That's crazy. Oh my God. I'm a little disturbed right now.
Yeah, that bothered me a little bit too. Look at the old school hosts before that. This setup like that. I was reading a book, comedians, the scoundrels or something. It's a cool
The
book to check
Smothers
out. But
Brothers.
no, but it's a book called Comedians, and it's basically about the comics. I think there may be a small section with the Smothers Brothers in there, but back then it was talking about like Jack Parr and Eddie Cantor, and these guys kind of developed what a late night show is. It used to have different names. It changed the name a lot to like Late Night Tonight or the Show of Shows and all these things when other people hosted it. They had a few different people hosted. I think I don't want to say Mel Brooks, but there was some of these old school guys that used to host it, and they would be an hour and a half show, a variety show, and they'd have to fill an hour and a half slot every night.
Yeah.
But and they say that's where they got the mold from. Was eventually they ended up getting the mold from that show, from those shows.
Wow. And they continue to evolve.
Yeah, and the writers were because they back then a lot of people didn't write their own material anyway. Comedians didn't start really writing their own material till the 60s. Everybody was just copying off each other, and there used to be like joke books, and then you would just get it
Wow.
1,500 jokes, and you kind of change jokes a little to fit your act, and then you go and that's your act.
Do you think it would have been easier to be a comic in the 50s, 60s, or harder than
Um,
today?
if we're talking 50s, 60s, I think the hard parts would have been I think it maybe would have been easier to become discovered because there was probably only a handful of real people back then. But I mean, I feel like back then it would be I don't know, with social media, I feel like I would rather be in this position today all around. But yeah, then people got in trouble for things like Lenny Bruce.
Right.
It might have
Yeah,
been
getting
harder.
arrested.
People didn't know what W.C. Fields was doing, I'm sure. And Jonathan Winters, they put in the nut house,
Are you
and my
serious?
yeah, my
Wow.
stand up is like I never knew about him, but I kind of tell real crazy stories like that too, just to
Yeah,
make
he
people
was
laugh.
Robin Williams' favorite, Jonathan Winters, and you'll see a lot of Williams and Jonathan Winters.
Yeah, if you watch Robin on some late night shows, like if you watch him on Craig Ferguson, I think there's something to be said about guest and host the same way that me and you interact. Some of these late night shows, like Robin Williams cuts everybody off. I mean, God rest his soul, but if you watch him, it's kind of hard to watch. It's not easy to watch because a lot of times he doesn't let the host get a word out to where Jonathan Winters, I felt like just took his time and didn't force it.
Mm,
And he made everybody look good. The host looked good. He looked good.
right. Yeah, when I did improv classes before I got maxed out of my credit cards, oh my gosh. But their rule of thumb is to make everybody look good. So that's why that whole yes and theory actually helps comedy because when you're two in a group and you say your who, what, where, when right off the top, like mother, it's a weird day in the laundromat because they ran out of soap. And if the other person was like, we didn't run out of soap, it would stunt the scene. But if you go, yes, and they don't have water either, but they're still open and charging us money to do our laundry. And then the whole
Right.
game could be like that, like the premise, a laundromat, no working soap, no working water, but yet they're still open and still washing clothes. Let's see that scene. And so, yeah, it really, it's important to make your partner look good.
Yeah, you know that last part you put on where you give them more information to give them something to play with? When I did improv, that's a very important thing. A lot of people forget that. They'll just say, yeah, and there's no soap and leave it at
Right.
that and then leave it up to the partner to create again. And it's like, yo, that's
Yes.
hard. Come on, give me something. Yeah, that's a very important.
Yes.
I did improv at the Pit. I was working at the theater for improv classes. I would stay there
You
and
did the intern there?
yeah, I would wash
Oh,
the dishes and seat people. But the most valuable thing I learned from it, I was lucky. I got to pick from my teachers because I got to watch and see who I liked. I watched all the shows first. And I got a really cool teacher. And anyways, the most valuable thing that I really took this with me, it changed my comedy career, is everything is a gift, like, and now I
wow.
really use that in my stand up. So, like, a lot of
Oh,
times
I
if you go to
love
like
that. I forgot
a
about
amateur
that. Yeah.
show or something, yeah, if you see a feature stand up comedian and say audience member stands up, well, it's her birthday, and that's a blessing. People will be like, the comedian might say, oh, you're messing up the show, miss, but then that ruins it. You got to
Right.
say, oh my God, thank you for giving me this. In your mind, you
I
can't get
love
mad. This
that.
lady just made the show so much better that she gave me this. And when I started looking at it like that, everything, if a fork drops, that's a blessing.
Wow.
It's a
So
gift you were
true.
given.
It
And
helps
that
with
changed
crowd
me.
work. See, like the perception of seeing it as a gift is a game changer for crowd work.
It really is. Then you're all of a sudden you're calm. You're not mad. You're actually happy. And then something funny
Yes.
comes out.
And you trust the process too, because while on stage, if you go into fear mode, you clam up and nothing good comes from fear mode. Well, some things can, but but if you trust the process and like no matter what happens is a gift,
Yeah.
then
You got to
it's
own
you trust while in the moment. And that's when the best brilliant stuff out of thin air, it's almost like you didn't even write those words. The words wrote itself, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever just had that happen in conversation where you're just automatically funny and you're like, oh, that's a great joke?
Yes. Oh my god. And I love it's like the world is telling me like we were supposed to gel. Like some people I talk to and it's just like a dead wall, like a dead end.
Yeah.
And I took that to notice like okay, these just aren't the people I'm gelling with, which is no big deal. I want to be with the people where I thrive. Some people you talk to, you just like write out loud and it flows. It's so cool.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. Yeah. I can't be around people I don't really gel with. I mean, I think it's a good thing to just be able to gel. Like that took a lot. Before when I used to do podcasts, I would never even speak. I'd never say nothing because I don't know. I was nervous to talk or whatever.
Oh yeah, I know. And some podcasts, it's like you don't know how it's going to be edited. Podcasts these days, some people edit it and make it sound like you said something you didn't. Chop up your words, and then make it a social media thing. With the headline, "Oh, we talked about this," and it's like we did not talk about that. It's easy to edit someone's words out of context. So
Yeah.
I maybe you saved yourself because it's like the less possibility can be edited into something.
You know how many people are editing things? I keep coming across these pictures for the political thing of Biden without a mask, and it's like the dude's got black hair in the video. It's like, dude, you can tell this is from 25 years ago, but people are still sharing them. Here's Biden last night,
That
corduroy suit. It's like, look, we know this is an old video, but
yes,
people are sharing it and are really falling for it. It's like
it's so weird.
these edited videos.
Right. And now they have the deep fake where they can edit someone's face on another body and it
Yeah.
looks so real. It's like, what?
even these apps, I seen somebody on TikTok do an impression of Adam Sandler. I'm like, this dude looks just like him. Then I clicked on his page, he looks nothing like him. But the app made his face look like Adam Sandler.
It's pretty scary. That whole there's a theory of singularity to where humans will eventually merge with AI or something like that. Let
I
me
hope
look.
so.
And it's like, honestly, I think that we're getting there. Okay, so singularity theory. In mathematics, singularity theory studies spaces that are almost manifolds, but not quite. A string. Okay, what?
Yeah, if you can't beat them, join them. Tesla talks about these computers are too fast. And why not join it? Why not better ourselves? If I can have a computer for a brain and be a genius, I'm doing it.
Yeah, but also that it takes away the process and the ups and downs of life. So then depression is going to increase because we're just going to have it.
I don't
Honestly,
think,
though, I went through already, I feel like I've had not 1,000 years of ups and downs throughout my life. Like it has not been an easy ride. So I'm ready. Just let's just plug in a USB port right here. Upload all the information for success I need.
right. Well, here's
Boom.
the thing, too. I don't think it's going to get rid of the process or make life easy. You're always going to have ups and downs. Even if you are a genius, you're just going to have a better opportunity to achieve what you want.
Right. Well, you know what though? There's feelings. Like, so think having smart thoughts is one thing, but then having your feelings align with your thoughts, that's a whole other thing. As I get older, it's kind of cool because I'm like, oh shit, like my feelings are what matter. Not like my thoughts are what matter, yes, but it's the feeling that actually is the thing that makes the good thoughts. It's not, I mean, yes, it could be thought feeling, but ultimately it's feeling and the thoughts blossom out of the feeling. So if you
And
feel like garbage, you're not manifesting nothing. You're bringing more garbage.
yeah, and most people that are very, very smart, like the more smarter they are, the more terrified they are because they know all the different outcomes of things that could
Yes.
happen. Versus like a simple guy, if you meet somebody, it's not like, a simple person, they seem happier.
Have you seen Along Came Polly?
No.
It's with Ben Stiller and Jenna Aniston, and Ben Stiller's a statistician, and he or something like that, and he predicts outcomes of things for a life, and his whole internal obstacle is Polly is this free spirit, and he's this statistician who's calculating all the outcomes of the probabilities of stuff happening, and that is his flaw. So it's like, yeah, knowing stuff, it does hurt you in some way, you know.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to my grandpa a while ago, and we have like Crohn's runs in the family. And
Mm.
Crohn's is like a bowel thing when you can't control your shit sometimes, sadly. And some people in my family, and have to wear a bag. And my grandpa's telling me this, and he's like, yeah, when you get older, your butthole is gonna leak. Like, not to be graphic, but and
Oof.
it's like, yeah, that bothers me. I honestly
Yeah.
worry about that every day. And it's like, that's a terrified piece of knowledge that I have. Like, I really do. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like, no matter what happens in life, there's nothing they could do for that.
Oh god. It's like every day you check, like, I don't want the leaky butt.
Oh my God.
Oh. Well,
That's gonna suck.
you can't, it is one of those things where you can't control. So it's like, don't even worry about it now. You can't control it. It serves no positive purpose of worrying about that right in this moment. You
Yeah,
know?
easier said than done.
No, I know. I worry about getting old, and it's just the health issues that's scary. Like I wish humans could get old like a beautiful 100 and then just turn off.
Yeah.
Why do we have to decay?
I hope science really makes some great discoveries. I feel like we didn't discover 1% of the things out there.
I know. It's interesting, and then it's like science versus nature, like, are we messing too much with nature with science to where we're throwing off the balance of life, um like genetically modified foods, it's good because it makes crops, you know what I mean, like humans are like growing, the number of humans, so we have less resources, so they invented GMOs to help solve famine. And so that's great, but then it's a whole other thing, people are getting birth defects from GMOs, and it's like, wow, like this is a whole other issue we have to figure out. But I guess they got GMOs under control. I don't know. Do you know about GMOs? Genetically modified objects, I believe.
Yeah, I do, but I'm also like, I'm so much for like, let's keep failing, and let's find this one discovery. Like, because I feel like, yeah, I really feel like all these mistakes just lead to better. Like, whatever it is, like this GMO mistake, and then I'm finding to fix it might eventually lead to, being able to make food for free, where you can just print it out of your computer. And imagine if we never have to buy food.
Wow. That would be so cool. I would print out mac and cheese. Oh my God.
If you
Oh Lord, I would
imagine, you
love
just do
that.
it. And then
And
even
then
like,
no animals harmed in the making.
right, yeah. And also, yeah, like if we had batteries, what if they had a battery? We never have to pay for power again. What if we figured something like that out?
If we
Water that
did,
makes water.
I love that. But
What if you just
that
had a little thing of water?
the government would like shut it down and be like, we need money from this. Ugh, it's
Well, it
like
depends
weed.
on who's
Like
leading.
weed is that's true. Weed is like a powerful plant, and it's like, oh, yeah, of course it should be legal. And it's not legal. I mean, in some states, yes, but federally not legal. It's a miracle plant. Hello.
Right. Well, I'm seeing like you never know. Like Elon Musk might become the president one day, or Jeff Bezos from Amazon, or something could change crazy. You never know.
It'll be interesting to see who wants to run in 4 years again. Be on tax reforms right now,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, still not a job I would ever want. I would never ever
Oh
want to be
no.
president. How do you
Neither
sleep?
Yeah, I would just like, I don't know, I would never want to be president either. I mean, I don't even like to be put in charge of training people at work. Like, train this person. Like, I'm not a leader. Like, please,
I was
you know.
working at this restaurant and they had me train a guy, and I trained
Uh,
him on our computer, clock in, clock out, and he was doing it great. I'm gonna make sure I clock in and out and boom, boom every day, and it was great.
yeah.
And then his paycheck came, it was like 18 or like maybe something like $18. And he
Oh
only had
God.
1 hour worth of work, and
Oh
my
my
check
God.
was huge. I accidentally trained him on my clock in number. So he was
Oh,
clocking in under my number. My check was like $550. And I
so
didn't realize, well,
so
I
how did
realized
you
2 days later. I quit.
how
I
did
just
you
walked
deal with
out.
that?
I
Oh
left.
shoot.
I just quit the job.
Wait a
It was a
minute. So
bad job.
he didn't get paid, or
I don't know what happened. I left. It was like 3 days later they figured it out, and the job was terrible. Like the job was bad, beyond bad. I was getting underpaid. And
yeah.
but anyway, so I thought that I was arguing with the boss saying I'm getting underpaid, my hours are wrong, something's not adding up. And then I got that big check, so I thought the boss paid me what he owed me.
Right.
And then they're calling me, and then I came in. I was off for 3 days, and I came in. Then they said, "Hey, Tierno, you owe Tierno like $300," and I had no money. I spent my whole check, and they were underpaying me majorly. So I
Ugh.
just said, "Oh, I'll go to the ATM," and I just never came back. I was like, "That's
I
it.
hope
I'm
they
done."
paid. I hope they paid that person. Like, that's not right that they put it on you. Management at a certain level should have stepped in and management should have double checked the hours before submitting. They should have seen that. So the manager wasn't doing their job, so they should have took it on themselves to
Right.
fix the issue for this poor kid.
Oh, they were underpaying everybody. Their whole thing was we work off of tips. They were like, you guys are gonna
Ugh,
make a killing off of tips. I was walking out there with $16 a night, and then we get
it's
like
so
a very small amount for hourly.
ugh, yeah, I know. The restaurant industry is it's so behind. Anybody who has not worked in the restaurant industry, they don't even know what's going on. You could tell somebody else who has worked in the restaurant industry, because it's the most humbling industry. You have to deal with such disrespect that and continue to put a smile on your face so you don't get fired.
Yeah.
It's so terrible. I'm very grateful I'm not in the restaurant industry. The one job I loved, though, I loved waitressing at the Comedy Store. Oh my god, my favorite job ever, actually. But
It's really
other than
cool.
that, it's the best. But other than that, like Johnny Rockets, I worked every holiday at Johnny Rockets. The most depressing thing, I would go to the bathroom and just cry hysterically
I remember
because.
when,
But what were you
yeah,
gonna say?
no, because yeah, you don't want to be working every holiday. That's terrible.
No, and they were rude too. Like, people go on Johnny Rockets trying to act like it's fine dining. Like, oh, let me get the filet mignon. Oh, you don't have filet mignon? You don't have truffle oil? Like, it's like, what
I
world do you
remember,
live in?
yeah, I worked as in a restaurant for a little bit. It was a Mexican restaurant, and I worked my way. I learned actually because now after I was a busboy at that place, I walked out of and quit. The bartenders never tipped me right. I
Ugh.
always took care of my busboys. Like they would,
Oh yeah.
they were supposed to give us a percentage, and I made sure like, hey, I'm not gonna just come up to somebody and give them $2 for busting their butt all night, and I would overpay them. But I remember
Same.
with the holidays, it was Cinco de Mayo. It was a Mexican restaurant. I was all excited to work Cinco de Mayo, big party. And how about I was the only one there?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
There were
I was
no
the only one
customers?
working. There was no other workers because it was
Oh,
their
that's.
holiday. Yeah, so it was just
Oh.
me. We were busy as hell. I'm covered in sauce. It was crazy. It was me and the other new guy. Nobody knew what we were doing. Busiest night of the show. It was crazy.
That's terrible. That's like a bad management as well. I mean, they should know, like, okay, this is the holiday where we're going to sell our food, and they didn't properly staff.
Yeah, they
Okay,
wouldn't let
so
us have guacamole. What about
are you
this leads into our
serious?
hot topics though at jobs.
Yes.
Yeah. I was working with one bartender and granted she was doing it a little bit longer, but I was walking out of there. We had to split the tips. And then they said, well, more people tip her because look at her. And she is very attractive. But I'm like, that doesn't matter. She's walking out with 300 a night. I'm walking out with 100. Like that ain't fair. We're
Right.
both
No, that's
working the same bar.
right.
That leads into our hot topic a little bit of asking what people make if you want. We got our hot topic.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Dominic, do you think that it's ever okay to ask coworkers what their salaries are?
No, I gotta say no. Don't count other people's money. You know,
Yeah.
whatever they worked out, that's up to them. That's their deal. It doesn't change what you're gonna make.
Yes. Now, have you heard that there are studies that say that open salaries, like companies that, openly, what everybody's making, it actually helps with productivity.
I know a lot of car dealerships do that, and then they'll congratulate, hey, Jeff's number one, he made the most, and Sarah made second most, and maybe that inspires people. But I've noticed the opposite working on moving jobs. People would find out that I'm making almost double them. I don't know what they negotiated. So they'd start working less. They'd only go up one flight and leave me three. And be like, nah, man, I can't. You're making more, man. You got to earn it. And it's like, I really wish they didn't know what I was making in that case.
Oh, why? Because wait, so what happened when you were moving
Like I was working for a moving company, and when you drive, when you're the driver, you actually make double that the laborer makes because it's hard to drive those big trucks. It's exactly double. They split the move 4 ways. So it's like the
Right.
company
Especially
gets a
in New York.
quarter. Yeah, the company will get a 25%. The driver and the guy leading the lead that talks to the customer, he's also the driver. He handles everything. He's in charge. He gets double. He gets two parts, and then the other worker gets one part. And it's like, hey, if you don't have a driver's license and you don't know how to drive a truck, it has nothing to do with it. I'm making more. We're both carrying boxes up steps,
Hmm.
but this is my money. And I ran into that a lot because it was obvious what I make. So they were
Right.
open with it. They said, hey, Dom's making double for driving. If you guys want to make more, become drivers. And when that happened, I noticed an instant decrease in labor jobs. I think if it comes to labor,
Mm.
I don't know if you want to tell them that because that's a hard to push yourself mentally. Everything's hard, but labor is something that you could easily lie about. You can just with moving, you don't need to work hard. Nobody's ever going to know if you take a few less steps or check your phone between staircases.
Right. But it might affect the overall company's review and then might hurt business that way if people see people being less motivated, like not hustling, you think?
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot to be said about it. I'm kind of really happy about this topic because I ran into it too back home. We worked at a detail shop in Ohio, me and my friends, and it's a flat rate business. So you get paid by the car. So if me and you both work 40 hours, but I do 80 cars and you only do 23, my check's going to be like $1,000. Yours will be 200. And we were both there the same amount of time. And I think they didn't show each other checks, but I remember one dude saw my check, and you know, I remember him kind of always hating on it. Just created a whole lot more confrontations than I needed. But
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, in sales, I could totally see it, but I think in labor, it could create people will be ready to fight you if they're like, "Yo, I'm working just as hard as you, if not harder. Why are you making 3 times the amount?" you know.
Right. And you know what? I agree. I think with labor jobs, it is different versus an office job. When I was a waitress, we would have to split like certain jobs, we split right in the middle. And honestly, I didn't like it because when I have my own technique of waiting tables, I take the approach of personality. I sell my personality, use my personality, and I have this way of I want every customer to feel seen. I want them to feel heard. And it's like I go into a hosting position. The host of me at a comedy show, it is me when I was waiting tables. Hey, how are you? You know, I wanted everybody because I feel I'm an empathetic, I'm an empath. I can feel what people are feeling. You know, to be hauling it like, you know, I would be hustling a little bit more than some people and vice versa. Honestly, some days I wasn't feeling it, you know, like I would walk in and be like, you know what, like I'm just ready for this day to be over. And it's hard to put a smile on. I just want to go in and out. Days like that, I didn't deserve to make equal either. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. On days where I'm like, I need to pay my rent, vice versa. But however, in an office environment, as a female, there are gender biases still today. So pay transparency is, I think, important in office environments because I think that employers should justify. They should justify why. And then it could be something for you to work for. It should be looked as something to for growth. But honestly, there is a lot of biases and gender as a female. You know, it's still to this day. I think absolutely in a professional environment, transparency actually can be used as a motivator
Yeah, I could tell.
instead because sometimes it's like the secrets and no, let's be open. Let's be, you know, this is life. Like anyway,
You know,
So yeah.
it would take good managers. Like I worked at a car dealership, right? And there was a car salesman. There's this thing called ups. So whenever you got a sale that you know is sold, somebody calls, hey, listen, I don't want to mess around. Okay, I'm calling for my boss. He wants a Silverado. He's coming in and signing for it. Just have it ready. We're not trying to talk to nobody. You get those a lot, and people, those are called ups. So you might get like 20 of those a month. And a good car salesperson, if they're selling like 20 cars a month, they are killing it. They're everybody look at her. Well, there was this car dealership guy that ran it. He was the manager. So there was this girl that was real computer savvy, and she did all his work for him. She took all his tests, all that, in exchange for him giving her all the ups. So she wouldn't even be there. She'd be
Oh,
in Mexico for a month and sold more cars than anybody
so they
because he would
had
just put
their
them under her
own.
name.
So they had their own dirty agreement.
Yeah, and
That
it's
sounds
surfaced.
dirty. That's
It's
really messed up.
surfaced. It is. And there's a lot of that because people want
Yep.
to avoid doing work, sadly.
Ugh. Oh yeah. I mean, I used to work in a hair salon, and there would be that like dirty environment. Like, oh my god, hairstylists can get like vicious. I was
Right.
the receptionist. I was taking the phones, and they would hover behind me, being like, I can work. I would do it very fair. I rotate, and I think I just saw some uncomfortable situations where I think some some of the stylists should have been making more money. Oh my gosh, this one would she would get all a bunch of the clients, and because she was like dirty, like just always like a freaking cat just watching to pounce. And she would take like 10 minutes to do a haircut, and all the time people be like, dude, that was my haircut. It's like a 10, I don't know. In my I guess I shouldn't open up that can of worms, but I
You
there were
know,
certain stylists that deserve to make more money over that person. But that's a
favoritism.
different favoritism. Yes, that's a
Yeah. Favoritism in the workplace is brutal. I worked at a place where the guy
ugh,
would constantly give me the dirtiest car possible. And it's like, he just didn't like me. And then you're
yeah.
never going to win.
Oh my
I think
god.
it needs to
And
change.
it does need to change.
Like eventually things are shifting. Like even now in New York, things are shifting to where these bigger companies aren't working out as well. Like I used to work for a construction guy. He was a jerk. He never paid me right, nothing. But I had no other choice. There was no other jobs. And then now I got that job, Task Rabbit, where I'm my own boss. I get to deal with my own thing, like between comedy. It eliminated the middleman,
Oh, cool.
you know?
Right. You are in more control, and you probably are attracting more clients that are aligned with your personality, because you can pick and choose a little bit, right?
Yeah, you could pick
Who
and
you work with.
choose. You get all of the money. You don't have to worry about nothing. Until then, it was just guys that would just hire people, pay them peanuts. Like my boss got $5,000 to do a job that he only showed up to for maybe 3 hours. I did everything. Me and another guy did everything. And then he didn't even pay us the 150 he owed us.
Ugh. When you have to like beg for the money you deserve, that's like so frustrating. It's like dealing with crooked, being in the restaurant industry and hair salon industry. I've dealt with service-based industries are so frustrating for that reason, that you have to explain. You have to be like, dude, I should, where's my money, yada yada. I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
had one thing that one time I did this in an Italian restaurant. The same thing. The guy didn't pay me right, and he knew he didn't pay me right. And he tried saying business is slow, and 3 weeks went by, and we were sold out a couple nights. So, anyways, he didn't give me my tips, but I already took the money out of the register. I'm not going to play that. I didn't steal from him. I left a note and said I took the money that you owe me out of the register. Here's my hours. Here's the math, and I quit. I said I'm not going to deal with this. You owed me the money for 3 weeks now, I cleaned out your basement. I worked for free. Like, he had me clean out his whole basement. Said it was a free training day. I cleaned out his basement for
Oh,
like 13 hours, painted it. I'm like, bro, no, I didn't. You didn't train. And then he got mad that I didn't know how to bartend. I said, you never trained me. If
right.
these clients wanted their basement painted, I bet I could do that. Like, that's what.
Yeah, if you're on the
$5
clock,
an
you're
hour.
on the clock.
$5 an hour. That's it.
It's
$5 an hour.
it's so
Cleaned out a basement.
exploitative. It's so exploitative. And he probably had, or it's just like exploitative if anybody needs a job, and they pay them peanuts. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. When you come into anything in life, I feel like with desperation, you're going to get
Hmm.
taken advantage of. I was told always look like you have money, even if you don't. I mean, except for if you're in New York or a neighborhood where you'll get robbed, but you should always look like you have it together, you have money, and you're not coming from a needing position. You should always
I
look
like
like
that.
they need you, really. And that's how I
Really.
act. Even with these moving jobs and everything, I've learned from the couple of years of running that company. And even comedy, when somebody's like, tell me a joke, I say, listen, how much money you got? You need to sit down. Who are you? Don't come to my show then. Okay, lose out.
Right.
Go
It's
somewhere
like
else.
they try to like press play on your forehead. Like, it's like, no, I'm a human. I have a mind, a heart. Like, do not talk to me that way.
Oh my God. From what I came from pitching a show at a bar 5 years ago to pitching a show now. For example, 5 years ago, I went to go pitch a show, and this guy's trying to impress a girl. This guy works there. He's like, tell me your best joke. And I gave him one. And then, it's all awkward situation. He kept interrupting me. So the joke didn't go out well. We're outside of a bar. He's like, I don't know, man. You got to get better. This and that. And I'm like, nah, man, you got to trust me. And then him and her kind of laughing at me. Now, 5 years later, when it cuts to, I go, wait, hold on. First off, are you the owner? Do you own this place? Because I'm talking about putting you
Ooh,
in a position where you can make money. I'm a businessman. Okay, what, miss, you're a
wow.
bartender? And then if you look at the girl that's a bartender, looks like you got a pretty empty bar. I want to see you make some money. I don't know who
Wow.
this guy is. I need a manager. This is about money, kid. And then
Right.
you
You
change
need
the
a
whole
decision
thing.
maker. But nonetheless, who everybody is important and never talk to somebody like they don't matter. But when they come at you, like, what you got? And it's like, no, 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 no. You're not the
Yeah.
decision maker. We'll talk later.
100%. I learned early on my young ego days, 22, doing comedy, when I thought I'm the best, not getting any laughs.
Right.
There was a busboy that tried to do comedy, and one time he was in the wrong though. He was in the wrong, and so I was a little bit more of an asshole to him. He was jealous that he didn't get past. We were at the comic strip, and he had his late night audition. He didn't get past, so he would go in there and start cleaning up during our late night. So, a few of us said, "Hey, man, don't do it." And one time he did it during me, and I was like, "Dude, that's you're not past. It has nothing to do with anything other than you suck." I told him, I was like, "Dude, you're not a good comic. You got to get better. You come in here and throwing this tantrum because you're a fucking busboy, ain't gonna work." And then that didn't help. It made it worse. He waited till every time I was on stage, he'd start slamming shit and doing this. And you know what makes it crazy is then he said he had a problem with me, and at the business they needed him more than me. He was the only one willing to close. So they had 100 comics. So I quit getting booked there. So it is good to never talk down to anybody as bad as you want to. You know,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right when you say that. No matter who you are, you gotta almost I Hollywood
Everybody is
everybody.
somebody.
I'm even if you don't like them, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Great to see you. Great job doing that. You're
Oh
better
yeah.
off.
Oh my God. So I was an intern at a TV development internship last year during the holiday season, and they asked me to help out at the party. So I was picking up and bussing the glasses, and oh my God, some of the attitude from these people at this big production holiday party, I took note. And it's like, you think I'm a TV development intern. I'm graduating. Like, you're treating me like like, you never treat anybody less than. The attitudes, I took note, and it is some people in the industry that I, knew, but they looked at me like I'm there to work, not knowing this is part of my internship. So it's like you never know who someone is.
Right.
And one day I'll look at them and be like, yeah, no, attitude, attitude. So yeah, it definitely goes both ways. But it's like if I was giving them attitude, then okay, whatever. I'm not in the right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even in stand up, you run into that in stand up, like from the headliner, maybe trying to give you attitude, or the club, the booker, or
Right.
a person that works there, the manager,
Or how about when
trying to
you're
give.
in a different city? Like
That's what I mean. Yeah, yeah,
yes, LA, I went to a open mic and I people don't know. I lived there 3 years, you know, and these people at the open mic, such attitude, like I'm the new girl. I was like, sweetie, I've been there. I'm in New York City based, sweetie. Don't nice
yeah,
for you to have that attitude, but I don't really, I'll write you off. Goodbye.
yeah. It seems like the bigger the ego, the worse and the least experience the comic has. I'm running into that in New York. I'm going back to the open mics because there's nowhere else to perform. There's these outside park mics. And when I first show up, people are like acting like I don't belong there. And it's like, baby, I've been here for 10 years almost. Okay.
That is a whole other thing
And
when
then,
you've just been doing shows and then you go back to doing the mics and it's like
yeah.
the only all new people and they look at you like you're the new guy. It's like, no, honey, please
Oh, yeah.
sit
And then
down.
watch how quick they change when they see you kill or when they see you
Right.
at a club. Then all of a sudden they're your best friend now. It's like, yo, what happened? You hated me 2 days ago. You don't think I remember that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They could get so
I
clicky,
ran
these
into
open mics, everybody with their little backpacks on, huddling, all like laughing at each other's jokes. Like it's not even genuine laughs. It's like like that
yeah,
kind of laugh. Like, just
it's
because
the
a new person shows up, you got to give them the benefit of listening and crediting them as someone worth listening to. Everybody is worthy.
yeah, and relying on the open mics too much. I mean, we have to keep in mind you're at an open mic, you're surrounded by people that can't do what you want to do. And that's why they're at an open mic because they have
Mhm.
no clue how to go up on stage and destroy for an hour. So they're just at
Right.
this mic trying to figure it out. And too many people rely on that. It's like,
So
listen, I'm not going to rely on a bunch of mechanics that wish that they were heart
oh,
surgeons, Like I'm going to do the heart surgery myself and learn. Like, you got to do
yes.
it. You have to you can't just rely on that like an
So
open mic like that. Like
true.
please,
You
I do a
know,
little bit of open micing and it's
that's
like
good.
some of that works on stage.
I was stuck in like the open mic scene because I have like self-esteem issues of like when people go, "Oh yeah, email me to get on my show." Like they will say like, "Yo, I want you on my show, like email me." I never email cuz I have like incredibly low self-esteem that I'm not worth being on their show. And that is probably my biggest regret to level up from the open mic to there. I should have initiated then I spend like hours. I love writing, and then I bring my writing to open mic, and if it didn't get a laugh, I would be like destroyed, like, oh man, it didn't work. And it's like I shouldn't have took that as a legit way of feedback because these people aren't even paying attention.
Right.
It's not funny. Like you can't gauge an open mic for judging, is this good or bad?
Yeah, because and the thing is, the people you're talking to don't know if it's good. They have no
Yeah.
clue what works on stage.
Also,
You know,
comics we're numb. We're desensitized from funny almost. Like I don't find much stuff funny other than like my genuine close friends. Certain people
yeah,
like all laugh, but honestly, I'm pretty numb. I don't find much funny. But that's the whole discovery process for me is I have to be like, all right, play a little bit more. Let's see what I find funny. That's my sense of humor. Do more of that. But I think comics to a degree are numb from laughing.
yeah, I think there's that. I also think a very, very big part of it is the mics aren't that diverse as much as the audience is. So it's mostly like 17 or 18-year-old kids that never did anything, that never even had a job. I'm gonna say, yeah, with these open mics, a lot of times it's just one particular group of people, which is like a very young teenage or extremely early 20s male. And most of the time, you know, you motto your whole, you did all these open mics, 500 open mics in front of these people. Now you got all these jokes to kill in front of a 19 or 20-year-old guy. Then you finally go to your sold out show on the weekend, and there's only maybe 3 19-year-old men there, and they're not even paying attention. So now you have
Oh
this
my
whole
goodness.
act for 3 kids that are interrupting you, and you're like, you have no jokes for the other 288 people that are in their 40s and 50s and 80s and 30s, because that's
it for the show, folks. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, follow, and leave a good review if you can. We will be grateful for that. Follow us on Instagram at GAPE-TV. Good afternoon, planet Earth.